مش في منتزه.
مش منتج هذا منتج.
Bismillah, we stopped yesterday about what Abu Hanifa and Sufyan said. So Sufyan and Abu Hanifa said, whoever does masah when he is muqim, when he is a resident, if he has not finished 1 day and 1 night until he traveled, if he has not completed his 1 day and 1 night, and he, while he is resident, and then he traveled, he can continue 3 days. He can continue up to 3 days, counting the day and the night, the less the part of day and night that he has started with. Like he is resident, he has done masah for 1 day and 1 night, but not fully. He still have some part of night or part of the day left.
Is this Sufyan al-Thawri?
Yes, Sufyan al-Thawri. And he said then, since he has not completed his 1 day and 1 night yet, he can continue. He can, when he travel, he can continue without taking off his socks and wipe up to 3 days and 3 nights.
And that period be included?
Yeah. And then when we say socks, of course, you have to remember always that, for example, here Abu Hanifa doesn't accept socks.
Yes.
We are saying about masah. So, and he says if he is traveling, if he has completed his 1 day and 1 night, and then he started his travel, then he must first take off the socks and start fresh, like 3 days and 3. He said if he travel and wipe 1 day and 1 night or more, and then he comes to the place, to his place of residence, then finish.
He goes back.
Yeah, like someone is traveling. So he has done 1 day and 1 night or more. And then he arrived to his place of residence. They say he has to take off the socks because he has completed day and 1 night. But if he has not completed 1 day and 1 night, when he arrived to the place of residence, he can complete the 1 day and 1 night.
He was started already.
You understand? Shafi'i say whoever does masah wiping in his place of residence then travel, if he has completed 1 day and 1 night, he has to take the socks and wash his feet, of course. He said no, and do wudu with washing his feet. If he has not completed 1 day and 1 night, he can only complete 1 day and 1 night during his travel.
So what was that?
He says if someone is resident and he wipes 1 day and 1 night, if he has completed his 1 day and 1 night and he started travel, then he must start fresh. But if he has not completed 1 day and 1 night and he start his travel, Abu Hanifa say he will complete 3 days. He say no, he must complete 1 day and 1 night that he has started in the residence, and then start fresh for his 3 days. He says the same thing. If he traveled and then if he's traveling and start masah and then come back to his place in the residence, if he has done 1 day and night and then come to the place of residence, then he has to take off the socks. Like let's say he has been traveling 2 days and then come to his place of residence. So he's not traveler anymore. He shouldn't complete 3 days. And he shouldn't even he has not completed 3 days. For Abu Hanifa, for example, for Ibn Hazm, he says he can complete up to 3 days and they say no, he has to take off his socks. He say if he has done less than 1 day and 1 night in his travel, he can complete that 1 day and 1 night. It's all these sayings are
Speculation.
This is all because they put the hadith of Sahih, the one of Ibn Abbas, the Prophet said. For
the hadith of Ali ibn Abi Talib.
Ali ibn Abi Talib.
Major hadith is that one.
Yeah,
Yes.
because they think they took it as Sahih.
They think it is sahih. The isnad is sahih. It is.
But it's not the wording of the Prophet.
Yes,
yeah,
that's
not
what
the
I was
wording
saying.
of the Prophet.
Yeah. He says our companions had different opinions. The Zahiris meaning. Some of them said the way we said, because Ibn Hazm said 3 days and 3 nights in all cases. If he does less than 1 day and 1 night during his
With his companions.
well, ashab, like every madhab has, they say our companion. The Shafi'i say ashabuna, and the Zahiris say ashabuna. So he say, so Ibn Hazm say 3 days in all cases. If you started during residence and before you finish 1 day and 1 night, you travel, you continue up to 3 days. He said some of them, of the Zahiris, said the way he said. They said if someone during his travel wipe less than 3 days and 3 nights, or 3 days and 3 nights, no, some of them said exactly the way Ibn Hazm said. Some of them said if he travels, if he wipes in his travel less than 3 days and 3 nights, or 3 days with and 3 nights, no more, and he come back to his place of residence, he start 1 day and 1 night. You understand? So that will be 4 days and 4 nights in a row without taking off. Like he has done his 3 days in travel, he finished them or he didn't finish them. When he come back to his residence, he will start fresh without taking off his, as long as he has not finished 3 days and 3 nights. You understand? This is also,
It's the opinion of who, sorry?
this is the Zahiri, the other Zahiris. And those have, they say they took the apparent wording of the hadith. I mean, this is what you should say anyway if you take this hadith. Ali ibn Hazm say the wording, the apparent meaning of the apparent wording of the hadith should show or confirm what we say, what he says. He said because people are either resident or traveler. The Prophet didn't permit the traveler more than 3 days, and he didn't permit for the resident except part of the 3 days. So neither the traveler, neither the resident should do more than 3. You understand?
The other guys make more sense.
Yeah, well, definitely. It doesn't make sense at all what he's saying here. So he's saying that the person is either, one person, he is either traveler or a resident.
Yes.
And the Prophet said 3.
Yes.
So is this person, the
No.
resident comes under the, like 1 day and 1 night is part of 3 days and 3 nights.
Yes.
So if you are either resident or, doesn't make sense. What happens here is he was resident and he was allowed to do 1 day and 1 night, and then he became traveler. He was allowed to do 3 nights and he became traveler straight away afterwards, before he has to finish his
We break the wudu,
yeah.
we take it
So
off.
he is traveler, so he has to start fresh. I mean, he is not resident anymore. What he has done in his residency, he done it when he was a resident. Now he is a traveler. So, but you can see where he comes from. I mean, he has done 1 day and 1 night. Now he's become traveler. He continue from where he started.
Yeah.
He says, so whoever goes to a travels in a length which is permitted to pray half of the prayer, do qasr for salah, for the period of 3 days and 3 nights, he should do masih. And whoever goes out of the village or the city to a length of distance that doesn't permit qasr of salah, he shouldn't do masih, because that is not travel. And yes, this is then finished with these different opinions about when you start travel, and then we start with Mas'ala 222. He says masah on the khuffain, and whatever is worn on the feet, it's only on the top of the or what you are wearing on your feet, only on the top. And there is no, it's meaningless to wipe below the feet or to wipe all over on the top of the feet. He said just part of it. To do it below as well, he says only on the top. So it has to be on the top.
He says only a little bit.
No, he said just a little bit. Huh?
But doesn't I say
Yeah.
to the ankles?
No, he said wiping.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, not washing. Yeah, he said just wipe little bit. We said before that you wipe over the head, not all together. That is because wiping is not washing. Washing in Arabic, you have to wash everything. But when you say wiping, if you pass your head. So what he says here, but what he's saying here, he says it has to be on the top, not below. He says if you add below, wipe below, that is like meaningless. It's extra, doesn't make any sense. So, and even if you try to wipe all on the top, all of it, that's also meaningless, according to him. So he says, and whoever wipes on the top with 1 finger or less or more, with 1 finger or more, is fine. He didn't say will less. 1 finger or more, then it's fine. And then his proof for this is the hadith that is narrated by Abi Dawud from Muhammad ibn al-Ala, from Hafs ibn Ghiyath, from Al-A'mash, from Abi Ishaq, from Abdi Khair, from Ali ibn Abi Talib. He said, if the religion was with the opinions, wiping below the khuf will be more worthy than wiping on the top of it. And they have seen the Prophet wiping on the top of the khuffain. He said this is the saying of Abu Hanifa, Sufyan Thawri, Dawood, and this is the saying of Ali ibn Abi Talib, the way we have mentioned the first hadith, and Qais ibn Sa'd. Now this hadith of Abi Dawud is the narration of Al-A'mash from Abi Ishaq, from Abdi Khair. The only person who narrated it is Al-A'mash. This is how he narrated it, from Abi Ishaq. Al-A'mash is a mudallis. Shu'ba didn't narrate this hadith from him. Shu'ba will carefully choose the hadith of A'mash only if he say haddathana, because A'mash is mudallis. And A'mash mudallis from Abi Ishaq, and Abu Ishaq himself is mudallis as well. He do tadlis from others, so, and he didn't say in any hadith that he heard this hadith from Abdi Khair. Abu Dawud, when he narrated this hadith in his book, he showed something like this. He tried to show that this hadith there is probably tadlis. This is how A'mash narrated this hadith, and then he narrated the hadith from Abu Sawda, from Al-Musayyib ibn Abdi Khair, from his father, from Ali, and they don't mention the wiping. They say Ali ibn Abi Talib washed the top. Hadith, they didn't bring the full wording of it, but they say that Ali ibn Abi Talib actually was not wiping when this hadith is like he was washing his feet on the top. So this hadith here, even though, let's say, the hadith being sahih or da'if, doesn't make any difference. Because wiping over the feet is, if you can establish that wiping actually is not necessary to wipe the whole foot. So you can wipe whatever, I mean anywhere, whether below. It does make sense that if the Prophet is sitting, for example, this way, of course, and he is doing wudu, then he will wipe like this rather than going below, and it's unnecessary. But it depends on the person. How someone maybe is wearing, what we call shoes that will make it difficult to wipe here because they are closed. So it's easier to put your hand aside and wipe. So that's all it means. Like this hadith here doesn't mean anything that he saw the Prophet wiping. Of course, he will wipe somewhere. And then he mentions another hadith from Abdurrahman ibn Mahdi from Sufyan al-Thawri, who is mudallis, but he said حدثنا Abu Ishaq السبيعي from Yazid ibn Abi al-Ala from Qais ibn Sa'd ibn Ubadah Sahabi, that he did wudu and wiped over his khuf on the top of it. He said up until I saw the marks of his fingers, like on the top of his khuf. Ma'mar also narrated from Abi Ayyub Sikhtiyani, that he saw Al-Hasan doing wudu and then he wiped on the top of his khuf. Also Ibn Jurayj asked Ata, can I wipe below the khuf, below the feet? He said no, it has to be on the top. Ali ibn Hazm says, والمسح لا يقتضي الاستيعاب. مسح doesn't necessitate that you wipe all over the limb. So anything that is called masah should be enough. He should have done his obligation. So that is what he says here, that he should have said that you can do wiping anywhere, but he says that it has to be on the top. So he said, except that Abu Hanifa said it's not enough that you wipe on the khuffain except with 3 fingers, not less. Sufyan and Zufar and Shafi'i and Dawood said if he wipes with 1 finger is enough. Zufar said as long as he does the most of the khuf. Most of the khuf. He doesn't say like more than half. That will be most of the khuf. But Abu Hanifa says 3 fingers. Now 3 fingers, is it 3 fingers or 1 finger many times? You understand? He says 3 fingers. Abu Muhammad said, Ibn Hazm, تحديد الثلاث أصابع أكثر الخفين كلام فاسد. He said to say 3 fingers or the most of the khuffain is meaningless. And Sharia that Allah didn't mention or didn't give permission for us to say. And some of them use this argument. They say we all agree that 3 fingers will be enough. Less than 3, like some people say 1 finger, some people say 2, some people say 3. So they all agreed on 3. Yeah, that will be ijma'.
Yeah.
So we have to take that 3. But if someone does less than 3, then he is doing something that is not ijma', and therefore his wudu is his masah is invalid. So we have to stick with something that they agrees all. So like the person who say it's enough to do 1 finger, if you ask him, okay, if I do 3, is it fine? He will say if 3 is fine. And those who say 2 fingers is fine, they will disagree with the one. Everybody at the end will say 3.
Yes.
So he say this is ijma'. They say this is ijma'. He said, Ali says, this will destroy most of their madhabs. Because
the same thing as like what Malik.
yes,
Yeah.
he said this will destroy the most of their madhabs, because every time there is a different opinion,
The trouble is
we will
with-
have to go to the ijma'. he will say, for example, the Shafi'is and the Malikis and the Hanbalis say you don't have to do wudu in a row. Like you can do wudu and stop and then continue later. The Malikis say you have to do it
Consecutively.
yeah, one after one limb after the other. He say now everybody agrees if you do it after one limb after another, it's complete. And then they have different opinions, so they should stick with what Malik have said. Or he said also for ghusl, for example, Abu Hanifa say if you don't wash your mouth and your nose during the ghusl, if you don't do madmada and istinshaq, then your ghusl is incomplete. The others say it's fine, you don't have to do it. He said, but if you do it, your ghusl anyway is valid for according to everybody. So we have to do then, make it an obligation on people to do. You see the
You
ijma'.
gave it last time on the traveller prayer. You
Yes,
said that,
I mean, if you do the ijma', on the if you have to check, even for those who accept the ijma', let's say you accept ijma', I accept ijma', what I do, then I will, every time that there is different opinion, I have to stick to the ijma'. That is not, even the people who say ijma' don't say that. I mean, this is an argument, try to fool some people up, but if you try to stick to ijma', then you can reach ijma' in most things. I mean, most of things you can reach ijma'. Every time the people, there is different opinion.
You will never stick to it.
No, I mean, if you want to
end the problems.
to end all the problems, the madhahib can sit between them, and then look at every matter they disagree about. For example, someone says there are some matters that you can't do ijma'. You can't, because the mal, for example, raf' al-yadayn, the Hanafi say this is makruh. The others say this is mustahab. So it's difficult.
You can't get no idea.
But there are things that, okay, if you do, it won't harm. If you don't do it, like let's say some people say you have to read something before Al-Fatiha. Some say if you read it, it's fine. But if you don't, it's still fine. So what we say, okay, so we have to make it an obligation to read something before them. And then Al-Fatiha. Read Al-Fatiha, everybody agree. And then after the Fatiha, some people say you have to add another surah. Some people say we don't have to add another surah. So what we do, we add another surah, and then there is no any different opinion. There is no argument anymore. We all. So you can, with this, you can bring ijma' if you want.
Who says you have to add the surah?
No, there is like the Hanbalis say one surah, Surah Al-Fatiha, and another surah, La salata illa bi Fatihat al-Kitab fama zad, with something extra. The madhahib, like the Zahiris and Abu Hanifa, Malik, Shafi'i, they say no, you can read Al-Fatiha only.
And then,
You understand? So, and then you go to ruku', you have to do tuma'nina. The Hanafi say you don't have to, as long as it's called ruku', you just go quickly and come back, it's fine. So we say, okay, if you stay, your prayer is accepted unanimously. But since the Ahnaf say it's not necessary, but they don't say it's haram, so let's do it. So, and then you stop so this is not an argument question of making it obligation, because this is ijma' and this is not ijma'. It's question of if you have different opinions, don't take it to the ijma'. If you have different opinions, then go back to the Quran and Sunnah. He said, so if they say the three, everybody agree about it, we say that this will destroy your madhab altogether, because everything where there is different opinion, you have to leave your opinion and follow the ijma'. Of course, where they have said the highest, there is something called ijma' aqal maqil, ijma' akthar maqil. He says, the nas have come with masih without mentioning 3 fingers or more or less, and Allah doesn't forget. he said, and we tell them something the opposite of what they say. We say that it is ijma' that you have to do masah with one finger. And there is a different opinion. He said they all agree about one. And then there is a difference opinion here, whether
Three.
to add the second or the third.
So you go with the one.
He said then we have to stick on what you agree on, which is one, and leave what you have different.
What's this called again, you said?
This is ijma' aqal maqil. Ibn Hazm and the Shafi'is use ijma', what we call ijma' aqal maqil. But the ijma' is not always like taking the less of what has been said.
Not
The-
highest.
Now they say, okay, they say the ummah is ma'soom. Is like they have
Infallible.
the ummah is infallible. They can't make mistake altogether in one. So some of them must say the right thing. If we find that everybody has agreed about something, or they have different opinions, people have different opinions about a matter, so we can still reach ijma' in some cases. They say, okay, everybody agrees. They will put it, give you a case how they will work it. They will say, traveler, he can pray 2 rak'ah. Now, there is 2 different opinions whether he can shorten his prayer or not. Half people, like some people said you can't, and some people said you can. Now we have proof from the Quran and Sunnah that you can shorten your prayer. So they say the half that have said you can't, or not the half, the people who said you can't shorten your prayer, we eliminate them because clearly they are wrong.
Yes.
Those who don't shorten the prayer, so we eliminate them. They clearly are wrong.
So who says you can't shorten the prayer?
No, there are some people who they say that prayer is rukhsa. Very, very old madhab. It doesn't exist in the four madhab, because the four madhab and the Zahiris, what they say, the famous, this is what we call fuqaha of the place, the Ansar. They say they are the Zahiris and the Hanafis that say you have to shorten the prayer, and the others say it is permissible to shorten the prayer. It's rukhsa.
But there are people that dispute shortening the prayer.
Shortening the prayer. Before, it was like a madhab that we don't know anymore. We don't, it doesn't exist. So what they say, I'm just giving you the example how the ijma' is used. They say the people who said we don't shorten the prayer, they, even though there is different opinions, they will take out of this ijma'. They will say those who said it's wrong, we eliminate them, because the truth is with those who said
That's right.
it is, you have to shorten the prayer, so it's clear from the Quran and Sunnah. And then from there, they are still using ijma'. They say some people said you can shorten the prayer in 1 mile. Some of them said 10 miles. Some of them said 37. Some of them said 84. Some of them said 100. Just examples. Everybody has said something, like so many sayings. Now Ibn Hazm here, he will take ijma' from here, what we call it aqal maqil, the less of what has been said.
Okay.
He says the person who said 1 mile, this is the less what we know. That is Ibn Umar. And then another person said 7, that is 1 plus 6. Another person said 10, that is 1 plus 9. Another person said 37, that is 1 plus 36. So 1, everybody agreed about 1. And the extra that they disagreed about, we reject it. So that is ijma'. That is, in religion, is not theories. Let's say we take ijma'. That is, the ummah is infallible, and we know every single person have said something, and then we want to work ijma'. Then it's definitely what Ibn Hazm said here, and the Shafi'is, some Shafi'is, is wrong. Because we say religion is not like theories. It's question of practice. So you say ijma'. Okay, let's say the person who say 1 and 7 and 10 and 37 and 100 are traveling. When they reach 1 mile, Ibn Umar will pray, shorten his prayer, the others will pray 4. When they reach 7, some more people will join Ibn Umar. When they reach 10, some more people will join Ibn Umar. When they reach 37, some more people will join Ibn Umar. When they reach 100, everybody will pray 2 rak'ah. This is ijma'. But before, it was ijma'. They were praying 4 rak'ah at the beginning. Then the different opinions started when they started their travel. When they reached the 100 mile, everybody agreed. So this is, the ijma' should not be 1 plus. No, it should be the highest what they have said. So here, Ibn Hazm, when he say 1, they agreed about 1. Actually, if you have to take it this way, then they are right. 3, because 1 is they disagreed about it, but 3, he accepts that 3 will be enough anyway, and everybody will say 3 is enough.
إجماع ما قليل.
إجماع أقل ما قيل. The less of what has been said. So you take the less. Sometimes you take the less, sometimes you take the most.
Okay.
But you have to
Look at
it in, yeah. It's not question of theories 1 plus 6 or 1 plus
You could
7.
say 1 plus 100, that'd be alright.
So that is Shafi'i said it is fine to do wiping over the, it is mustahab to do masah on the top and below. If he does the top only, it's enough.
Okay.
He said it's better to do like on the top and below the feet. But if he does only the top, it's fine. If he does only the below, then it's not fine. He has not completed his masah. He said this is meaningless because if below it's not an obligation and it's not mustahab, then why should he do it? And if it's mustahab, then why if he does only below, it should not be enough for him? Why does he have to do the top as well, since he doesn't have to do everything? Malik said he wipes over on the top and below. But if and this is the saying of Ibn Qasim, his companion, if he does masah on the top without doing it below, he should repeat the prayer during the time. You understand? He says if he wipes below, not on the top, he should repeat the prayer no matter how long it takes. You understand? He said you have to do it both on the top and below.
It's invalid.
Now if you do only the top,
It's okay.
no, if you do only the top and later you know about it, but the time of the prayer has not, like you still have time for the same prayer, then you have to repeat the prayer. If the time of the prayer is finished, then you don't have to repeat because you have done the top. If you don't do it below only, then you have no wudu, which means you have to repeat your prayer even after 10 years, if you remember after 10 years.
So Shafi would be fine if you remembered after like 10 minutes and then you went back to the water and you just went like that underneath. You wouldn't have to repeat your wudu, you just go and wipe water underneath.
No, Shafi'i say below it's only mustahab, it's not an obligation.
So who was that said it? Malik.
Malik.
Malik? Okay.
Malik says you have to do on the top.
Top and bottom.
Yes, top and the bottom.
So
He say if you do only top,
yeah.
then you still have to repeat your prayer.
Okay, and he wants things consecutive.
But what he says, no, it's not a question about consecutive. Definitely it has to be consecutive.
No.
But his question of if you do the top only, your prayer, your wudu is invalid.
Yeah.
Shafi'i say if you do the top only,
Yeah.
your wudu is valid.
Yes.
But it's better to do it below as well.
Yeah. No, I understand that.
Malik say if you do your on the top, your wudu is invalid. Why should he say
Yes.
you have to repeat the prayer?
Yes.
He say you repeat the prayer if you do only the top.
Yes.
You have to repeat the prayer. But then he say if you do the top only, you repeat the prayer during the time.
Okay.
But if you do only below, you can repeat. You have to repeat the prayer even after 10 years. And this doesn't make sense according to the madhab of Malik, because, and he will mention it probably here definitely. He said. He said, we have narrated from Ibn Jurayj, from Nafi', from Ibn Umar, and from Ma'mar, from Zuhri, that they have to wipe over on the top and below. So this is the saying of Ibn Umar and Zuhri, he mentioned. He said, but repeating the prayer during the time, it's meaningless according to the madhab of these people. Because Malik say, if someone has not prayed, or has not prayed properly, he must repeat his prayer even after 20 years. He says if someone doesn't pray in time intentionally, he must pray that prayer later. So when you say that if he doesn't wipe over the top, he must repeat the prayer
In the time.
and Malik say it a lot about many things, that this thing, if you don't do it, you have to repeat your prayer in the time. But this, if you don't do this thing, then you have to repeat prayer. Doesn't matter. So some things. So did he pray or he didn't? If he didn't, then according to your usul, he must pray.
Anytime.
He must pray even after 100 times, 100 years. But if he did the prayer, so why should you tell him to pray the same prayer twice a day? You understand? So, and this is a lot in the madhab of Malik. You read it like, if you do this, you can repeat the prayer. You understand? Like if you don't, if you do wudu and you complete your wudu consecutive, then you have to repeat. If you don't do it consecutive, you have to repeat your prayer as long as there is time left. You understand? But if the time is gone, then you don't have to repeat it. So he has wudu or he doesn't. If he has wudu, why does he have to repeat the prayer? Yes, what do you want to say, Amin?
So you were saying before that there was a saying of Malik's companion. So I was wondering if he was just saying that that's Malik's saying, or it was his own saying.
No, this is Ibn Qasim says. Ibn Qasim takes from Malik.
Nothing.
So he said, so according to their usul, this what they are saying here doesn't make any sense. He said, as for those who said that you have to wipe on the top and below the khuf, he said they used two hadith. One is narrated by Al-Walid ibn Muslim from Thawr ibn Yazid, from Raja ibn Hayawa, from a writer of Al-Mughira ibn Shu'bah, from Al-Mughira ibn Shu'bah, that the Prophet wiped over the khuf and below. And another hadith which is narrated from Ibn Wahab, from Sulaiman ibn Yazid al-Ka'bi, from Abdullah ibn Amir al-Aslami, from Ibn Shihab, from Mughira ibn Shu'bah, that he saw the Prophet wiping over the khuf and below it. And another hadith from Ibn Wahab, from a man, from A'yun, from old man, from Abi Umam al-Bahili and Umad ibn Samit, that they have seen the Prophet wiping over the khuf and below it. Ali said that this is all nothing. The hadith Abi Umama and Ubadah, he said, is so clear to anyone who has aql, who understand. I mean, man, from A'yun, from old man. So this hadith, nobody actually will
take it.
Right off Shukman here.
I mean, even writing it will be waste of time.
What does it exist in?
No?
What does it exist?
Well, people just like to write anything. I mean, a man from a man. This hadith, I don't think that ever anyone will say this hadith is sahih. Maybe at the time of...
There's some hadith there's some hadith from Bukhari where a man was with the Prophet.
Yeah, but we are not writing from the man.
نعم.
You understand?
إسناد.
They are telling you about a man saw the Prophet. They are telling us the story about a man with the Prophet. But they are not saying that that man said anything. If they say a man said, even if they say a man with the Prophet, then he is talking to the Prophet. That man is a Sahabi then. And then the Sahaba, they say all the Sahaba are thiqat. But now after the Sahaba, a man, what did this? Who is this man? Nobody accepts hadith of what we know. I mean, of what we have in the books.
Sure.
Nobody says that you take hadith from someone
Called a
whose
man.
name is a man. He said because it is from someone who has not name, from another who has no name, from someone who nobody knows who he is, from another person who is not known. And he said this is a calamity. As for the hadith of Mughira, that one of them is from Ibn Shihab from Mughira. He said one of them is from Ibn Shihab from Mughira, Ibn Shihab al-Zuhri. And he said Ibn Shihab was not born except after the death of Mughira ibn Shu'bah, long after his death. So this hadith is broken, so it shouldn't be taken. He said as for the second hadith, Walid ibn Muslim, this hadith, he said Walid ibn Muslim made a mistake in two places. He said this hadith is narrated from he heard it from Humam, from Abbas ibn Usbu, from Muhammad ibn Abdul Malik ibn Ayman, from Abdullah ibn Ahmad ibn Hanbal, from his father, from Abd al-Rahman ibn Mahdi, from Abdullah ibn Mubarak, from Thawr ibn Yazid. He said, I have been told from Raja ibn Hayawa, from Katib, from the writer of Al-Mughira, that the Prophet has wiped over his feet, over the khuf, the top and below. Now the hadith, if you look at the beginning, Al-Walid ibn Muslim said, he said, if you look at the hadith at the beginning, Al-Walid ibn Muslim narrated it like this: from Thawr ibn Yazid, from Raja ibn Hayawa. But the second isnad explained that was Al-Walid ibn Muslim, he had done tadlis. And what kind of tadlis he done? Is tadlis taswiya, what he is known with. Yeah?
Yes.
Al-Walid ibn Muslim is a big mudallis. You can never rely on him unless he say حدثنا in the whole of the isnad. And this is Walid ibn Muslim. He is the only trustworthy person that we know he does tadlis taswiya. Like what he does, the people when they do tadlis, they take off their sheikh. Like Sufyan Thawri, he will just delete his sheikh, that he is untrustworthy.
Just because he's not famous.
Like he will say from Sufyan Thawri will say from Abi Ishaq. If a person say you heard it from Abu Ishaq, he will say Amish told me, or something like that. You understand? So the problem is just you have to look Sufyan Thawri, if he says حدثنا Al-A'mash, for example, finish, the problem is gone. Al-Walid ibn Muslim is not like this. Walid ibn Muslim, if he says isnad, you have to look every single person said حدثنا, because if there is anything in the middle that he has done tadlis here, he can come to isnad, not just delete his sheikh, his sheikh, he will delete any sheikh in the isnad, he will delete any weak person in the isnad.
And just to make it look like it's famous.
Like to make the isnad clean. You understand? If there is anyone in the isnad that is weak, or even if to make the isnad perfect, I mean the isnad in the middle may be broken, like this here. What Thawr ibn Yazid, what did he say? I have been told from Raja ibn Hayawa. That means someone told him, not Raja. He didn't say Raja ibn Hayawa told me. He said I have been told from him. What he, instead of saying
The man in the middle.
now there is a man missing. Walid ibn Muslim, to make the isnad perfect, because people when they hear this hadith they will be Like he is teaching people, he is telling them hadith. People will comment this hadith and then, oh look,
Done it
this
again.
hadith is bad. Like when they reach this, they know that okay, there is a man missing. They want hadith which is
Clear.
so to make them happy and to show them, to give them the hadith in perfect state. Thawr ibn Yazid from Raja ibn Hayawa. The fact that he said, I have been told, he will not mention it. He is not lying. He said from Raja ibn Hayawa, Thawr ibn Yazid from Raja ibn Hayawa. He still didn't say he heard it or haddathana or anything. He didn't lie, but he played with the wording. He deleted something which will make the people think that this hadith is connected. And this is not a mistake that Walid ibn Muslim have done. This is intentionally. I mean, he is known to do these things. He was asked, why do you do this? He said, just I don't like that my shuyukh do such mistakes. So he correct their mistakes.
Is there anyone else that's famous for it other than Walid Muslim?
Baqiya, but he is not trustworthy anyway.
Yeah, trust me.
So he said also it is mursal. So it is mursal. So and he said the first problem that Walid, that Raja ibn Hayawa didn't hear it. The second thing that it is mursal. That Katib of Mughira never mentioned. Mughira ibn Shu'bah is not narrated in second isnad. The way the trustworthy people narrated it is like from the writer of Al-Mughira ibn Shu'bah. And the writer of Al-Mughira ibn Shu'bah is not Sahabi. Mughira ibn Shu'bah himself is Sahabi, but his writer is not. The second thing, the third illah in this hadith, that the writer of Al-Mughira ibn Shu'bah, who is he? Mughira ibn Shu'bah was a leader. He was working for Umar ibn Khattab, for Muawiyah. So he was a governor for many. So how many writers he would have had? I mean, when we say Al-Mughira ibn Shu'bah, the writer of Mughira ibn Shu'bah, those who know hadith will go straight away to think as Warrad. Warrad is the writer of Mughira ibn Shu'bah. He has someone called Warrad.
He's a tabi'i.
He is tabi'i, of course. He met Sahaba, so he is tabi'i. He's a writer. So, but he didn't say here his name, and doesn't mean that he has only one writer. So, because the name here is not mentioned, and the writer of Mughira ibn Shu'bah still Warrad, nobody has said. He's very famous, but he is majhul, unknown. I mean, famous to us, to the muhaddithin or people who study hadith, or to us now, everybody who will read books of hadith. But he is not known to, nobody have said what his status, thiqa or not. Warrad, the writer of Mughira ibn Shu'bah. He is, Ibn Hibban mentioned him in the book of thiqat only. Nobody has said he's trustworthy or he's not. So he is majhul. So there is no hadith that says you have to wipe over the feet or below it. This hadith doesn't exist, therefore even if it says that the Prophet used to wipe over and below, doesn't make any difference, because he is just applying the ayah which says wipe. You can wipe anywhere. And all these sayings, I mean Malik and Shafi'i and Ibn Hazm and Abu Hanifa say you have to wipe on the top, just because Ali ibn Abi Talib say I saw the Prophet wiping over the top.
Command over.
Of course he wiped over the top because you have to wipe somewhere, and the top is the easiest place to wipe on. Depends on the person. Sometimes it's probably easier to wipe below if some person has his foot upside down.
Well, you said the chain in Abu Dawood is
Yeah, the chain in Abu Dawood.
Did you say there is another chain that's sahih, but he said it sounds like he was washing over the top?
Yes,
Okay.
there is another chain. Yes,
Ali, you said Ali,
Abu Sauda from yes.
you said Ali ibn Talib, you said the Prophet made it. You didn't see him. You said the Prophet, it's in the hadith.
Prophet made it 3 days, 3 nights for the traveler.
We're talking about, that was about the 3 days and 3 nights. That's one hadith.
Okay, yeah.
And this is about wiping over. That is another hadith.
Different.
Yeah, the hadith that mentions 3 days and 3 nights. That is one thing. And here he says he saw the Prophet wiping over the top.
And all the madhab, they think it's wajib to wipe on top.
Over the top. I mean, if you look at it, it's like someone saying that the Prophet, like, I saw the Prophet wiping over the beginning of the head. So someone says you can't wipe at the end, you have to wipe here at the beginning. But they don't say that.
Yeah.
They say you can wipe anywhere in the head.
Yeah.
On the
It's just,
head. Okay, so another mas'ala, 223. He said, and whoever wear anything on his feet, anything that he is allowed to wipe over, okay. He said, and whoever wears something on his feet, anything that you can wipe on, without tahara, without doing wudu, and then he breaks his wudu. Okay. So whoever wear anything on his feet without wudu, and then he breaks his wudu.
Because he's doing tahara.
Yeah, he
Before he says
tahara.
tahara.
Yeah, tahara.
So this person doesn't have wudu.
على غير طهارة.
He puts on his thing.
Yeah.
He does
and then
hadith.
and then he does anything that breaks his wudu. And then when he want to do wudu, and he did wudu all together, and only his feet are left, then he fears something happens to him that make him fear, and he can't wash his feet. After he has taken his khuf, then he should stand up and not do masah on them. And he prays the way he is, and his prayer is complete. If he later can take off his khuf and find water after he has finished the prayer, some people say that he must wash them. He must take them off and wash his feet, obligation, and he doesn't have to repeat his prayer. They said if he can do that before he has done the salam, then his prayer is invalid, and he must take what he has on his feet and wash them and start the prayer again. And others said his wudu is complete, his prayer with that wudu is complete until he breaks his wudu. He said this is the sahih, this is the most authentic, the most strong opinion. Do you understand what he's saying here?
Yeah, roughly.
If you know tahara,
Someone is doing wudu.
But that's why he says that tahara is not having
Yeah.
wudu.
Yeah, but that's what he's talking
Yeah.
about in this scenario.
He said someone who has no wudu,
He puts them on,
he put his socks,
something on.
and then he want to do wudu. He done his wudu all together.
Nice.
Yes, and then he want to do his wudu. Now something happened that make him not able to pray, not able to complete his wudu, to wash his feet.
Okay.
Some people said, okay, he doesn't have to take his socks off
Yes.
because he is afraid. It's a question of necessity.
Yes.
تقوا الله ما استطعتم. يعني fear Allah as much as you can. So he doesn't have now to kill himself. Someone is going to shoot him, and so he has to leave the area. But he can still do masah. He can still do masah. But according to the majority, you can't do masah on something that you have worn while instead without doing wudu. So you can't wipe on that state. But they say now, okay, because there is fear, he can wipe on them. I mean, if you can't wipe of them, you can't wipe of them on them. You understand? Now he can't wash his feet the way he is supposed to do. Can he just wipe on them instead? Now, if you say you do wiping on the feet instead of washing them, because it's like to bringing a new religion. Because wiping on the feet, according to these people, can be done only if you wear the socks in state of cleanliness or in state of wudu.
Yeah.
The fear doesn't give you permission to make new religion.
Sure.
You understand? So he say you can't do it. If you can't do something, you can't just go and replace it
Yes.
with something from your head.
And for them, من غير طهارة means no wudu. For them, من غير when you said من غير طهارة,
Yes.
it means you don't have wudu.
Yes, من غير
Yeah,
طهارة means
yeah.
without wudu. It's like someone saying, okay, someone, there is you are in place, let's say in a capsule where there is no dirt, there is no like sand, nothing from earth. You have to do tayammum with earth, no? You are in balloon,
Yeah.
and then you can't, there is no water,
Yeah.
there is nothing that you can do tayammum on, just a plastic. And someone says now you just have to,
Do the act of
Wipe
wudu.
the plastic.
just what you do, you just like blow on the areas of you have to do wudu on, and that is your wudu. It's meaningless. You can't do wudu, you can't do tayammum. You are not going to create something from your head.
You just pray.
You just pray, because the prayer you can't do it any way you can. There is no one who can say I can't pray. You understand? So if you can't do something, okay, you can't go to Hajj. You can't go. Mecca is blocked. You don't go to Bayt al-Maqdis instead. Okay, because I can't go to Hajj in Mecca, I go to somewhere else. So either you do what you are supposed to do, or you stop. You can't do it. You can't do it. So now, because these people believe that they have to put their socks, to wipe on the socks only if they can't wash their feet. It's difficult, but it's easy actually to wipe over them. So can you wipe over the socks?
According to them, no.
I mean, let's say you had no socks on and you started your wudu, and when you arrived to your feet, someone started shooting. The place where there is the water is there is place of where there is the water you can't get, you can't
Access, you can't access it.
access it, and you can't access tayammum as well.
So you run and pray.
So you run, you don't wipe over. Okay, you still have some water on your feet, on your hands. Do you wipe over the feet without socks? If you say no, then you shouldn't also wipe over the socks, because this is something that is not in the religion, and this is, according to them, something that is not in the religion. So that's what he's saying at the beginning. But then, of course, not everybody agree with what he says.
Yeah.
Some people say he has to do tayammum first.
Okay.
You understand? If he can't do this, then he must do tayammum. I mean, even he's running, he has not completed his wudu. And the water, if the reason why he can't complete his wudu is the fear, and that fear drive him away from the water, that means he can't find water, and he has not done wudu, so he must do tayammum. But if the fear doesn't drive him from water, I mean the fear, there is water, but there is something that make him not able to use it, then some people say, many people say you have to do tayammum. According to, you can call it probably ijma', that they say if there is water and you can't use it, you have to do tayammum. I mean, this is what they say. If someone is sick and he can't use water, he has to do tayammum. This is what the former Dhahib and Ibn Hazm says. Now, out of that, now if he has done what he has done, like he has not washed his feet for any reason, and he started praying. some people says he can pray, but if the fear stops before he finishes the salam, he must stop the prayer, do wudu again, and pray.
From the beginning.
Yes, do the wudu, complete his wudu and pray. They say because there is no, Allah will not accept the prayer of someone who has done hadith until he does wudu. This person didn't do wudu. He was praying without wudu. He had excuse to pray with it, without wudu. Now the excuse is gone. He has not completed his prayer, so he must repeat the prayer. The others said no, that wudu that he has done is complete. Even though he has not, this is what he could do then. So that is what he must, that is what that wudu is complete. Then that is what he could do. His wudu is complete. Later, if his wudu is broken, then he must do the wudu in proper way. Let's say someone has done wudu and his hand is in plaster. He doesn't have to wash it. And there is nothing called like masah on the plaster on the hand. I mean, that is, if those who say there is masah and those who say there is no masah, both of them say this is question of necessity. He should have washed his hand, but because he can't reach his hand, it's done, and this is necessity to put it, he doesn't have to wash it. So when he completed his wudu. When he completed his wudu, the doctors looked at it and said, yeah, it's fine, we can take it off now. We don't need. And this person has been praying with. Is his wudu broken when they took off? Now his wudu is complete. And then they took the plaster. Does that break his wudu?
No.
You understand? So this is question of question of in fiqh. So he said the strongest opinion that he doesn't have to repeat his wudu, because his wudu in that state, this is what he could do, and his wudu was complete.
You know, in the case with a person who can't finish off his wudu,
Yeah.
and because he has no access to the water, but he can do tayammum,
Yes.
would he then, because he didn't complete the wudu, do tayammum as a
No.
replacement?
Because he has not completed the wudu then,
Yes. And he runs, say he's running, and
Yes.
then he gets to clean,
and there is
soil,
there
and
is
no water.
there is no water.
Yes.
If there is no water, then yes, he can do tayammum, because if he has not completed his wudu,
Yes.
he has no wudu.
Yes.
I mean, you have wudu when you complete the wudu,
Yes.
but this person didn't complete it.
Yes. But I mean, out of necessity, he was running,
Yeah.
and then he got away from his enemy, for example.
Yeah.
And then he had no access to water. You know,
فإن لم تجدوا ماء فتيمموا. If you don't find water, do tayammum. So this person has no water, but if he has water, we are going to talk about tayammum later,
Okay.
just
So
after
now
this.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, where there is tayammum, where there is water, tayammum should not be valid at all. It will be useless.
Where does it say you have to wipe over the foot with water?
Where?
Where does it say you have to wipe over the foot with water?
Over the foot.
With water. Must have with water.
Okay, it doesn't say.
So, why can't you just wipe over it anyway?
The Quran says that وَأَنزَلْنَا مِنَ السَّمَاءِ مَاءً طَهُورًا, that the water, when the water, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said the water is tahur, is the thing that you clean with. And then the Prophet said about tayammum that the earth is made for us clean, as a way to clean if we don't find water. You see, if tayammum, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said "Amsahu biwujuhikum wa aydikum," wipe over your faces and your hands. So you wipe. So if you do tayammum, for example, there is no water, Allah said if you don't find water, then go to. So when you wipe when you do tayammum, you tayammum with the earth. That is when there is no water. So Everything in the ghusl has to be with water. Only when there isn't. You don't tayammum like something like nothing and then I do tayammum, but it has to be with something.
Sorry. So you see when we spoke about someone, the Prophet ﷺ, the Sahaba that didn't have a ghusl,
Yes.
and then
When he found water, he
the Prophet ﷺ
gave
it
him.
to
Yeah, and said go and wash.
No.
Yeah.
So someone that does wudu, but they had plaster on their hand,
Yes.
but then after they've taken off this plaster,
Yes.
so that part where they couldn't have washed, now they can wash.
They have done wudu and they have completed their wudu. That was tayammum. It's totally different. I mean, tayammum is something that you do. You have permission from the religion to do tayammum. The plaster is something that you can't.
It's off now.
You can't do it, so you have not done it.
He takes it off straight after wudu. Did you say?
Yeah, he takes it off after.
After the wudu. Yeah. It's totally two different cases here. You see someone who is doing tayammum. It's the religion that has tayammum is a replacement of the wudu. But why the plaster that you have is something that is preventing you from doing wudu. You can't do wash your hand because you can't, because there is, and you don't go to tayammum just because of that. You can't wash one limb. You don't do tayammum just because you can't. This is totally different from this one.
It's a scenario where you could do something, you couldn't do something.
You couldn't
before,
do something.
and now you can do it. That's the scenario. That's
see-
the
you see-
similarities there, isn't it?
Yes, that hadith that says that the man, the Prophet gave this man water to wash themselves, is still very.
Ambiguous.
It doesn't go with the usul. I mean, the usul says the rules of the religion that you take from the religion, that when you have completed something, you have completed it. When you have done something and you have done it with the permission of the Quran and Sunnah, then it's completed. Then you don't have to do it again later. This is the whole Sharia shows this. I mean, someone who has not, he was praying because he was sitting. When he is able to stand up, he is not going to repeat his prayer.
But that's individual acts though, isn't it?
Yeah, and this is the individual act as well.
No, because this is an act. There's an act dependent upon that act. Whereas
Yeah.
the salah, there's nothing dependent upon the salah.
Yeah.
Other than that act alone.
Yeah,
So your salah is dependent upon your wudu.
I understand that. Yeah.
So it's different then, isn't it?
Yeah, your salah is dependent on your wudu, and so what you do is you have if you repeat the wudu, then you repeat the prayer as well.
No, because when you done that prayer,
Yeah,
it was permissible for you because you was in that state.
Yes.
But you finished that ibadah. That ibadah is done now.
Yes.
You completed it. But now you're on your next act.
I do understand what you are saying here. It's not like this is how people put it anyway. Now you have done wudu. Did you have wudu then when you prayed? Did you had wudu or you hadn't? You have not.
You had wudu.
When you prayed first time.
No.
So
within his capabilities.
Yes.
You went as far as you could go.
Yes.
But now you can go further and complete it.
Yes, I understand what you are saying. No, I understand what you are saying. This is actually what the argument. Probably he will just put the same argument here. Well, I don't know what, but this is what the arguments that they put. They say you have completed it, and then they say this is what we call mubih. It's not like something that just gives you permission to pray. The first wudu, they say this is not proper wudu. This is something that gives you permission to pray, and then as long as that is finished, your wudu is again unnullified, broken. You have to do it again. This is the opinion of the majority anyway. So, and here what he says, if he chooses the second opinion. He says the second opinion is the strongest. The hadith that you mentioned about the man, that prophet, that hadith, if you have an answer for it, then if you can't find an answer for it, then it's fine. That it will be easy to. But that because it goes against the usul, against the rules, the general rules, that when you have done something and completed it the way you can, then it's complete. Then you don't have to.
Sorry, which hadith?
Hadith that the Prophet was in trouble and a man didn't pray. He asked him why he didn't pray. He said that there was no water. So he said, tayammum is enough for you. Later on, the Prophet was given water. So he gave him water and said, go and wash yourself. Yeah. So it looks here like the man first done tayammum, which finished. That means the man is not in janaba anymore. He has done tayammum. But then when the water was found, the Prophet ordered him to pour it on himself. That means that
He's already clean.
Did he pray?
We don't know.
we don't know. I mean, but he told him this after Fajr prayer, and it's almost Dhuhr when they brought water. All this time, he should have done it.
What do you?
To be honest with you, yeah, I don't believe that you would have to
Redo yourself.
make ghusl there. I don't believe.
Yeah.
You're saying it's an amr. You understand?
Yeah.
It is, but the scenario with that is similar in that aspect.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, if I have an answer for that hadith.
What is the majority of the fuqaha?
No, the majority say if there is tayammum, if you do tayammum, as soon as you find water, the majority say if the majority, including Ibn Hazm, and I don't know why here he doesn't say the same thing. He say but Ibn Hazm doesn't do qiyas anyway. That is a scenario with tayammum. This is so I understand. We should understand why he's this. He say if you do tayammum and you are praying because there is no water, and then the tap starts running because he left it on, and the water comes. He says, finish. Your prayer is broken. Just stop the prayer. Go and do
because of this hadith.
wudu. Yeah, because of this hadith. Then there is few hadith that are weak, that the Prophet said, if this hadith were sahih, the problem is solved. This hadith from Abu Dhar that says, this hadith will be like specific against the rules, but it still be specific. The rules sometimes, there are things that are exceptions from the general rules. The hadith says that the tayammum is the tahur of the Muslims. Of the Muslim, even if he doesn't find water for 10 years. When he finds water, he must touch it, his body. Like he must touch with water his body.
But it's not sahih.
This hadith, if it was sahih, it would have like the rule. Yeah, you understand? Itself. But to say to now he is talking to a man, one person. We don't know what happened. We don't know if the man said, save some water for me. You understand?
Maybe he was smelling.
No, maybe the man during this time that Ali ibn Abi Talib went, and the man showed something like, I don't like myself. I feel disgusted. I feel some people are like this. I mean, when you do tayammum, they don't feel okay. So maybe he complained, and then when he came, there was water. Okay, take water and go and clean yourself. We don't know what happened. You understand? But this is a difficult answer. This is not an answer that you.
So we just leave this hadith to the side, come back to it.
This is what you should do, yeah. But you don't. I mean, until you have. But it's of course it's safer to
Wash yourself.
to do ghusl anyway. In this case, like someone does tayammum, then finds water. It's safer to do ghusl.
Can't you just say that it's just in that case that it's just with ghusl for janaba or just with ghusl
Yeah, but
rather than just with
yeah, I understand, but this is difficult to hear.
It's tricky hadith.
None of them would disagree that if the person in that state of tayammum finished his prayer and he was still within the time of Zuhr, for example, and water started coming, that alhamdulillah, that prayer is finished with. He doesn't have to worry, but his wudu he'd have to do, ghusl he'd have to do. That's what they would say.
Yes.
Okay.
No, actually, there is many who says that he must repeat if the time is still.
That's what I was thinking.
That he has to do the ghusl and he has to repeat the prayer as well.
As long as he's in the time.
Yeah. This is many who says like this, that he has to repeat the prayer and the ghusl. That is of course invalid because that should be invalid anyway.
Okay.
So he said, Burhanu dhalik, qawlu Rasulillah. He said that is because he say why he believes that his wudu and his salah is complete and that he doesn't have to do wudu again until he needs to do wudu, a new wudu. He doesn't. His wudu is not just broken because the fear is not anymore. There is no fear anymore, or because there is. You understand? He said that should not be the reason to break his wudu. He said his wudu will be valid for him to pray until he breaks his wudu again.
So, when going back to when the Hazm says you can wash yourself with tap rounds.
Yeah.
Don't they say that goes against the usul?
No, Ibn Hazm more he doesn't have. He always say there is no thing like such as usul. You understand? He say the usul is what Allah says and the Quran says. What the Quran says and the Hadith says. He says that there is no such thing as this is against the usul.
Is it possible in a scenario
when he uses sometime? Like for example here, of course he has usul as well, and he uses them sometime, but he doesn't use them
like rule. Like
if it is hadith, he will follow the hadith regardless, even if it goes against the usul. But if he believes the hadith is da'if, for example, he will say the usul, he uses this usul. Sometimes he even make ta'wil of hadith to follow the usul. He will say, okay, the Eid prayer is 2 rak'ah. Jum'ah prayer, Eid prayer is sunnah, according to him. Jum'ah prayer is an obligation. And then he comes across hadith that says you pray 2 rak'ah of Eid and then you don't have to pray Jum'ah. And he says the sunnah should not be instead of the obligation. You understand? You say how can the sunnah 2 rak'ah like negate the obligation? Pray 2 sunnah and it will be enough. He said like if it was the opposite, probably, but not to pray the fard, the obligation, for just because you have prayed sunnah before and that will be enough for this and this. You say this is unacceptable. That is following the usul.
Is there a hadith that says that?
What?
The sunnah of the Eid is...
No, sunnah of Eid, prayer of Eid is an obligation, and Sa'id prayer and the Jum'ah prayer is an obligation. And then there is no hadith sahih that said the Prophet have. It's all misunderstanding of hadith from the Sahaba, not hadith from the Prophet.
Could someone say in a scenario about the tap, when someone's at tayammum and they're praying and the tap goes off, that this is a specific hadith in this specific scenario? Like in a specific scenario.
Of anyone who says this, of course he will say this hadith. If he says it breaks his wudu, of course they will say this person had no wudu. He had permission. This person had no wudu.
Okay.
But he had permission to pray.
Okay.
Because he couldn't do wudu.
Yes.
But the hadith say there is no prayer for the one who does have no wudu. That person had permission to pray. And they say, okay, if a person couldn't have wudu, if the person had not done wudu at all, and he couldn't do neither wudu, neither tayammum, and he prayed. He is praying. Now, let's say after the prayer, there is another prayer. And we say, okay, since he has prayed the first prayer, that gives him wudu, didn't give him wudu, because he didn't have wudu. Yes? And the hadith says, there is no prayer for someone who has no wudu. So since he had no wudu at all, he prayed when he couldn't do wudu at all. So he prayed without wudu, he had permission for that. But now he's going to pray new prayer, and he has water he has the means to do wudu. So he must do wudu definitely. You understand this?
That makes sense.
Now, if they will say, since he has not completed his wudu at the beginning, he had no wudu at all, but he could pray without wudu. Him and someone who has no wudu is the same. Now he is going to pray new prayer. He must do wudu. Are you lost?
No, I don't know.
No, I'm not
I
lost.
understand that he can, once he finds water and the next prayer comes, then he can do.
Do you understand this?
Yeah.
Like they say, this is how we will say it. A person has no wudu at all, has no ghusl at all,
And he can't find it.
and he can't do neither ghusl neither tayammum. Because to do tayammum is something different from that you can't do ghusl or tayammum. You understand? Tayammum is a permission from Allah, so you are doing tayammum. You understand? It's a form of cleaning yourself. But when you have no tayammum, no wudu, you are not clean. Nobody will say just because you can't find water and you can't find tayammum that you are clean here. So you are not clean at all. And you are praying. And then you finished your prayer. Does anyone say now you have tayammum just by praying that you are clean just because you prayed without tayammum before? Because you couldn't find? Nobody will say you are clean. But you prayed without cleanliness because you had permission, because that's what you could do. Now, another prayer comes. Do you have to do tayammum and ghusl?
Of course you would.
You have to, definitely.
But supposing...
And the person, they will say, the person at the beginning who did not complete his wudu was the same thing.
He didn't have the
You understand? So this is where Ibn Hazm, when we say, Ibn Hazm say the second is asah. This is regarding the usul. This is the answer that we'll give to him. Do you understand this?
I understand, but I just want to, you said, say now the first salah,
Yeah.
no ghusl, no tayammum.
Yeah.
You pray. Second salah, yeah, there's still no ghusl, no tayammum.
Yes.
And you can't pray?
You can't pray. Why?
Why did you pray the first time then?
This first time because you have no choice.
You have no
You
choice.
have to pray, and you couldn't do that ghusl.
You can't bring a bid'ah like.
Yeah, but then you said there's still nothing available for you for the
Supposing
second.
the water come while you could perform that first salah again, you would have to do it now again, repeat.
That is
That's
the. You have prayed already, no?
Now we've prayed.
Right.
Now, this is tricky though.
Yeah.
Because there's no salah without wudu.
Yeah, but you have
But you done it right when
that
you
you
done it
could do
No, but
that.
you could.
Now you did, but now you can still do it with the wudu
Yeah.
within the time.
Yeah,
Does
but
that
you
make
have-
a prayer
you have
right?
done it.
Saying,
You done what you could,
would
so
you
it's
be saying
not-
the
I
first prayer
understand.
accepted?
Huh?
Would you be saying in that way that the first prayer is
The
null and void?
hadith says it, isn't it?
But that's because
Do
you
you
have the
know what-
permission to do it at that time.
Do you know what my point is? My point is
If
arguable on both
if
sides.
it's not permissible to do it, if it's not accepted,
Hmm?
You would've
why
done
do
it.
you tell people go and pray then?
Exactly.
Because you have to. You have no alternative.
So that means you have done it. If,
I'm only saying what the hadith says. The
no.
hadith says.
Did Allah look? Someone is praying. Someone, the time has come. There is no wudu, there is no water. Someone comes to you and asks, there is no water, there is no tayammum. Can I pray now, or do I have to delay it to the last minute? If you tell him you can't pray now, you are telling him Allah has given you don't talk from yourself. So you are telling him Allah has given you permission to pray now. So he prayed the way he can. He has done something good. He has done what he has to do. So he prayed. If to order him to pray later, he has done what he is supposed to do, what he can.
But you see, when
If you say no, actually you shouldn't have. So why did you tell him to pray from the beginning?
No, I didn't say you shouldn't have. He done what he could have done at that time.
Yes,
But now he can do
but
better.
it's one prayer. It's 5 prayers a day, and he has prayed his prayer.
Okay. But yesterday
Yeah,
we discussed, was it yesterday or the day before,
yeah.
that you said that when you sin or you have the intention of sinning and you think about that in that salah,
Yeah.
you perform the salah, but after that you perform it again.
No, you don't. You didn't perform the prayer. If you sin during the prayer, just stop that prayer and repeat it all over again.
That wasn't.
I mean, someone is praying.
But let's say he completed it.
How completed?
The person who done it completed the prayer, but he sinned.
He
during the
shouldn't.
prayer.
He shouldn't. You
But
should
let's
have.
say he done it. Let's
Yes.
say he did complete it.
Yes.
For argument's sake,
Yeah.
he completed it.
Yes.
What now?
He shouldn't. That he's invalid. It's invalid. He shouldn't have done. But you tell him you should have prayed. I tell him you shouldn't have completed the prayer. Two different
Okay.
scenarios.
Let's say I didn't tell him nothing. He took it upon himself to pray because he was in a scenario where
You would do the same thing. You will pray,
No.
even though you have no wudu.
I would have to.
I will not, if I am praying and I remember that I have done sin or I have prayed. If I remember during my prayer, I prayed. If I remember that I have stolen this and doesn't belong to me, when I prayed, I didn't think about it. That's something that I have done right, because I didn't know that I have something stolen on me. As soon as I remember, if I don't take it off and continue, that's mean I am sinning in the prayer. I will repeat my prayer altogether. I will stop that prayer and repeat all over again, because I know that my prayer is not valid.
But maybe I would
Yeah.
if I prayed a salah and I didn't have wudu and I prayed it because I had to, and then there was a time for me to perform wudu. I wouldn't feel that the first prayer. I would think maybe this prayer wasn't accepted because of the
It's
hadith.
not a question about feeling now. We are not talking about what is. No, it's not
When I
question.
say feeling,
Yeah.
I mean it's my judgment.
Yeah, I understand.
It's not feeling.
Yes,
it's a judgment.
I understand. Question. I'm not talking about. Okay, your judgment. This is what we are discussing. Is your judgment right or not? Now, if you can explain why your judgment is right, we will accept it.
I'm only solely again on the hadith.
Yeah, la salat. Yeah. So there is no prayer for someone who has.
No prayer in the beginning. then.
That's it.
That means you.
Maybe there, maybe there wasn't, but I done the action. That's all I could do,
Yes.
and I'm only accountable for what I can do.
Yeah. If there is no prayer, if you take it that way, there is no prayer. So you have to say what some people say. Some people say you shouldn't pray at all. Some people say you shouldn't pray. This is what many madhahib say. If there is no water, there is no tayammum, you shouldn't pray.
Madhab say that you don't need to pray? Which madhab say you don't need to pray?
No, the Malikis and the Hanafis say if there is no water, there is no tayammum,
Don't pray.
you don't pray and you make up later. They say because there is no prayer, this is like a condition. You understand?
But didn't you say there was an expiation for not praying? 5 expiations.
Yeah. How?
The one who sleeps,
Yeah.
One forgets.
the one who
Yeah,
forgets.
that is the Prophet saying, if someone is sleeping, or he forget his prayer, or someone who, that this is the Prophet saying that you can do it, make it up later.
No,
Now, if you don't find water and you don't find
that wasn't in the 5.
what?
That wasn't in the 5.
No. If you are intoxicated,
Intoxicated.
if you are
forget,
sleeping,
You sleep.
you forget,
you-
you are eating, or you need to go to toilet.
No.
Isn't insanity one?
What?
Oh,
No, insanity, no.
Something else.
Insanity, personal insanity. So these people, there is nothing to say that if there is no water, you can make it up later. And then actually we have hadith in Bukhari, the hadith of Aisha, that when they were in traveling, and then Aisha lost her
Purse.
necklace.
Necklace.
And then they had to look for it. So they stayed in a place where there is no water. They were hoping that to go to get to a place where there is water. She said then the Prophet sent some people to look for it. Like they go back following the trail. So, and then the prayer came and there is no water, and there was no tayammum there. That at that time the only form of cleanliness was water.
Yeah.
So there is no water, so they prayed without water.
Okay.
So this is.
Which chapter is this in?
The hadith doesn't say that.
Yeah, they say prayed without
Somebody
water.
complained to Abu Bakr.
Yeah.
And he went to
Yeah,
Aisha.
but the hadith of Aisha, it's in Bukhari. It say,
So when was the ayat revealed? After?
yeah. Can you just give me Bukhari from that?
Yeah, I read it. I read this.
But it's question of some people will argue that the Prophet probably didn't know about this, that the Sahaba did it or stuff. Some people might argue like this.
What chapter is
The
it?
Prophet didn't know.
The book of Tayammum.
It's the first hadith.
The Prophet didn't know what that they prayed. They say that the Prophet.
Okay, this is the hadith. She says, we went with the Prophet in his travel, and then when we arrived to the Bat al-Jaysh, a necklace to me was broken. So the Prophet and the people with him stayed to look for it, and there was no water. Abu Bakr came to me and said, no, people came to Abu Bakr and said, don't you see what Aisha have done? The people are staying here, there is no water. Abu Bakr came and the Prophet was putting his head on my lap. So he said, the Prophet, you stopped people from water, there is no water. So Abu Bakr told me whatever he said, and then he started doing something with his finger.
Okay.
He said, I couldn't move because the Prophet had his hand on my lap. The Prophet woke up and there was no water, so Allah sent down the ayah of Tayammum. Okay, now the hadith, this is the first narration.
So it said the Prophet ﷺ woke up
Yeah,
and then the
Verse
ayah came down.
revelation.
yes. Yeah, there is the hadith. This is the first narration, of course. It doesn't say that they did tayammum.
Well, definitely the Prophet ﷺ, maybe he didn't know that they done it, because when the ayah came down,
Yeah.
when he woke up, the ayah came down. So it was in
No,
the
no,
occasion.
no. Don't look at this narration. The ayah that the Prophet, he said, then the Prophet woke up, and later,
The ayah was-
it's not. Don't look at this narration. The fact that they have done tayammum is.
I mean, they prayed with
Huh? This is the hadith. Look, Aisha said, I took a necklace from Asma. I lost it. The Prophet sent a man. He found it. A Prophet sent man to find it. The prayer arrived, and there was no water, so they prayed. And later the ayah was revealed about tayammum. So before the ayah of tayammum was revealed, there was prayer. But we don't know now if she means that the people with the Prophet or the people only who were looking who didn't. But these people prayed without.
Yeah, but we can use this to prove that if they didn't have something for the prayer, they could just pray.
Yeah,
So now we don't have.
but some people will say
She
that.
didn't say
Then
he
people.
prayed.
Yeah.
Yeah, they said the people prayed.
Doesn't mean
We,
that.
we.
No, the people.
So the Prophet
It doesn't
didn't
mean there's
pray.
a consent from the Prophet.
Mm.
You can't necessarily say what you said, because if it was the other people, they weren't with the Prophet, so the Prophet didn't
But
get
why
the
wouldn't
consent.
she have prayed with the Prophet?
I got a question.
Why
Maybe
wouldn't she have prayed with the Prophet?
She might have been on this.
The hadith is many narrations of it.
they wouldn't pray unless they know it's okay to pray. Because if it was at that time,
No, not necessarily.
yeah, they were always with him. It must have been something, not must have been, but it could be something normal.
No, he was sleeping.
But then, if now you can't pray without wudu, they wouldn't have
Waiting
prayed.
for so
Not
long.
necessarily.
Yeah, they would have waited.
No, because if they're gone over and they can't find nothing else, they might think Allah's not. If we can't do wudu, there's nothing to say that the hadith about there is no salat without wudu came. They could have come with many suggestions. Sahaba do that all the time. You can't necessarily say that.
When the man complained to Abu Bakr, we don't even know if Abu Bakr prayed with them or not, or he could have said something to them.
No, actually, I tell you, the hadith, Aisha says that they spoke to the Prophet and they prayed without tayammum.
after they done the act, they told the Prophet after they done the act.
Yeah, there is, but the fact that he didn't say you are wrong or something.
Yeah, that's the thing. If he doesn't say wrong or right, then
You understand?
it's assumption.
Let me find the other narration where it says that
But he didn't correct them.
He didn't get wahi.
they already prayed.
Yeah, there is prayer.
So you're correcting if something that is happening,
No.
not something that happened.
But if he had, if the
He corrected
We don't know
if the religion has corrected them before, he doesn't have to correct them again. I mean, it's question of you take it from the hukum that has been revealed before.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have to correct people for something that it is already in the religion.
No. But what I'm saying to you is, if
I mean, they prayed.
this is based upon what you know.
Yeah.
So if the ayah came down, and we're talking about
The ayah is talking about tayammum only.
No.
The ayah is not question. They should have known from the beginning whether to pray or not.
The issue is whether they should pray now. They know that they are capable of performing the wudu
Yeah.
or the tayammum. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So if the Prophet ﷺ, after the ayah was revealed, didn't tell them, no, that prayer, because you didn't have wudu and now you can make tayammum, do your salah again.
But was it still time for the prayer?
No, I don't know. This is what it is.
That is the thing. He says, the Prophet sent people to look for the necklace. The prayer, time of prayer started. They prayed without wudu. Then they came to the Prophet and complained to him. So the ayah of tayammum was revealed. So they complained to the Prophet that they prayed without tayammum. So doesn't mean that he accepted that that prayer, or people who are traveling, they have no water. Should they pray or not? They have to pray within the time. I mean, to say you pray later, or it's a question of you don't pray at all because you don't have water, or it's condition. But yeah, it's condition. But that is you taqullah mastata'tum, you do what you can, and that's what they could do. They could have done then. And if someone says no, then when you have to repeat your prayer. That will be a long process actually, because let's say someone, that's what he could do for years, and then something happened.
You're saying in the time though.
If at the time, I mean, what is the difference? He has done it or has not done it. If he has not done it, if the prayer, what he has not done it, you shouldn't have ordered him to do it. Tell him don't do it at all.
We know the dalil for praying the prayer out of his time, so that excludes that then.
That means that the prayer he has done is right.
Yeah.
But I'm saying to you, within the time.
But
Yeah.
it's still right.
So the prayer, if within the time is right, if he must do it, that his prayer is right then. If he has done it, why must he repeat it within the? If he can, you understand? If he didn't pray, if he didn't pray, we should tell him don't pray because he didn't pray. So from the beginning, say don't bother to pray because whether you pray or not, it's not prayer. If he did pray, then why should he repeat the prayer?
I'm just saying to you what I would do.
Yeah,
I
no.
would pray the
I'd pray
prayer.
in the last moment.
Huh?
I would have prayed in the last
Same.
moment. If it was me, just so I get out of
Yeah.
the problem, I'd pray in the last 5 minutes.
This is
it's
all.
good saying that. Yeah, definitely you would. You would wait until you can.
Yeah,
Do you know?
I don't
That's what you would do.
But what you are doing here is we are doing exactly what Malik and Abu Hanifa used to do. People ask him questions, and then he will say, "I would do this. I will like this." It's not that is not. You are trying to find a
I'm not
solution.
giving a hook. I'm just saying
Yeah,
to you
of
what
course.
I would feel comfortable with.
Yeah, that
You
is-
understand? But
yeah.
if there was an opportunity, let's say I was, Allahu Alam, maybe if I was in a salah and then I had running water, then I would end my salah and make my wudu and then I would do it.
Well, do you have permission to end that salah?
No.
That is, it's not like that easy. I mean, I am praying. Do I have this is obligation prayer. Sunnah prayer is fine. Stop it. But this is obligation prayer. Do you have permission to stop that prayer?
Okay, if I don't have permission and I can't stop the prayer, then I have to complete it, and then there will be no time left. But
Yeah.
do you know
This
what?
is why you are looking for.
I just wouldn't feel comfortable knowing that I prayed a
But
prayer
see for the
and
next
I didn't have
prayer.
wudu and I didn't have tayammum.
I will say
Yeah, I think it's a
I have
possible
started
prayer.
my prayer correct.
Let's just hope we don't get into that situation.
Yeah.
You see for the next prayer.
Hmm?
You
Because if you pray there without wudu and without tayammum,
Yeah.
and with tap runs,
Yeah.
for the next prayer,
No, for the next prayer, probably, I told you, for next prayer, some people will say, you have not done wudu at all. You see the scenario that he said, you put your feet. Some people will say, he says that he has completed his wudu. But if someone put it to him like this, what if he has not done wudu at all? He turned the tap on
And
to
then he had to
wudu,
run, yeah.
and then before he even touches the water, he had to run. Did he
Wudu.
do wudu? No, he didn't. So he will say no. So if he says yes, that's weird.
The
Like.
hadith can't even break them because there is no wudu or
Yeah.
there is no thing to break.
But sometimes there is like things that goes against the rule sometimes. But yeah, when I started reading what he says, I was on his opinion. But now I am not with his opinion.
after this discussion.
After today or
No.
before when you read it?
No, before I was on the opinion that if someone has done the wudu,
Yeah.
Certain point.
he has done the wudu, half of the wudu,
Yes.
and completed his half wudu, and prayed, and he prayed that he should continue. The wudu is complete, but then I'm thinking about it because there was what if he has not done wudu at all,
Yeah.
and then he prays?
Yeah.
His prayer is complete. But what about the second prayer?
Yes.
That's
Come
right.
You
back for
understand?
next time.
Yeah,
Yes, do it again.
he has to do wudu again.
Yes.
But when he has done half wudu, he has not done wudu. He was just praying because he couldn't complete his wudu, so he has not done wudu. So that is the same thing.
I guess I'm gonna have to read it again one day.
Hmm?
We spoke about there's no half.
This is a tricky
Yeah.
We spoke about this yesterday or the day before yesterday.
Yes,
You
but
can't do a
You-
half
you-
act
You know this.
because they were saying that you can wipe over the sock.
Yeah.
You can't wipe over the sock. And we went through the half act as well before.
yes, no, that is different. But that is totally different story. Like that do wipe over one part and
So-
Yeah,
ghusl.
yeah.
That is making up one hukum. That is different. This is
No, but you said
from this one.
we're talking about can you complete half of something? It's either it's done or it's not done.
Yes.
So it's the same scenario here. It's either he done it or he didn't do it.
So when you ask the question about the hot, you take one soap off. You wudu. You masih and you.
No, the act itself is complete. I mean, if you had to do wudu, only, that wudu will be complete. And this is something that I use always to say there is difference between condition and an obligation. But that is true. I mean, if you had to do wudu only, if you are doing wudu, that's fine. You have done wudu. You did what you can. You couldn't complete it. Then your wudu is complete. Finish. You don't have to do it again. But now we are doing wudu for the salah.
There's no salah without wudu.
No, that's true.
So every salah
So-
you have to do it for.
Yes, yeah, this is what you said earlier, and this is normally the rule. Yeah. But we have not finished just this part. I think you are going to call it.
Yeah.
No? So we have to stop this here.
Sorry about that.
No, and then we have to go to Yamun. Well, it's beneficial for me.
We finished the
For
ghusl.
me, this is
Well,
very
I've got
beneficial.
good
We
Actually.
finished the
No? And then you finish the
Ghusl.
mash,
no, but
and
kitab.
then it's the tayammum.
Where did
Tayammum.
Tayammum start here?
Mm.
Well, couldn't we just finish off?
No, he's going to.
Oh, you
go.
got-
So we finished after this. We finished the ghusl.
Yeah,
Coffee,
hopefully we finish.
fine, that's-
We are
But
mash
now-
al-khuffayn.
Now remember I said that after ghusl we jump to kitab al-zakat.
No, what about tayammum? Well, with the tayammum we don't fit it. This is part of the kitab al-ghusl. Tayammum is part of kitab al-ghusl.
Yeah. Okay. But okay.
Yeah, and then we will discuss this matter of zakat. It's not that we are going to do it, we are going to discuss it.
Finish, yeah?
So he's going to college, so